Fear. F-E-A-R. We've been talking about it all morning. Now, I want to know what are you afraid of? And don't use your head, use your heart. And everybody's afraid of something, so tell me the truth. What are you afraid of? Just tell me. There's no wrong answer.
That's a good question.
Not satisfying God.
Okay. What's yours?
Certain questions from Pam.
Okay. Good. Okay. Bannister,
you'll get the
what's yours?
Running out of money.
Okay.
I think we were honest with you.
That's what I want. That's what this is all about. If we can't speak honestly, then there's the door, senor. You know, I don't want to be. We gotta have. What's my fear? Me getting in the way.
Oh, that's good.
I want to do it myself. I want to be the head sled dog. And that's my biggest fear. And sometimes it happens, and I have to sit down, and God says, Lloyd, time out. I got this. Go sit down. See, we're supposed to be
God, that is
following in the light. I am not the light. I am a reflection of the light. But I try to be the light sometimes.
I woke up 3 nights ago doing this right here.
Okay.
Get out of the way. You know, you're taking the worry, just, that's good.
Yeah. And we all do it.
Yep.
And do we have low self-esteem? Everybody has a part of them is not where it should be because of the way we were raised.
True, that's true.
And the energy that you got to remember, you're a receiver and a sender of energy. So all this negative stuff, it takes a toll on you.
So we could be a U-turn, right?
Choo, choo. That's why you have to, that's why you have to defrag yourself from time to time, because every time you get bombarded with negative energy, just getting in your car going down the highway, you're surrounded by negativity. Your wife, whomever, you have to write an energy check, and it costs you. We're energy-based creatures. You've got so much energy that you're going to expend every day of your life on supplying that negative energy. You're going to bombard yourself with negative energy. Well, then you've got to use positive energy to nullify that negative energy, because if you don't, you'll end up like the world. The world's fed on negative energy. Why do you get tired? That's why you get tired, because we're in a flesh and blood body. And every time that something that you don't like, you're writing a check. You're cashing it in. It's an energy check. So remember, every decision you make, every function that you have, every life experience that you live in, every word, even the emotions that you read now, because most of you can read emotions at an elementary level, but it's better than nothing, and it's going to get better. You're writing a check. How many checks you write a day? Depends on where your lifestyle is. But yes, we're all writing it, and we get tired. And that's why sometimes we slip and get depressed. Well, then the weight of the balance of the scale is now negative. That's what causes depression. And that's what we are afraid of. Every one of you told me that you're afraid of something, right? And we've all got our different things. So let's see what the Word of God says about that fear. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to read in the Amplified Philippians 4:6. Do not fret or have any anxiety about anything, but in every circumstance and in everything, by meditation,
Right.
definite requests, with thanksgiving, continue to make your wants known to God.
That's good.
Now, how do you do that? You believe it. What did he say? John 10:10.
Let me ask you, make your wants. I thought we didn't have any wants.
Well, you're not supposed to.
Well, then why are you supposed to let your wants go
Because-
if you got your...
Because this is not just written to born-again believers. This is written to the Philippi church, the Philippians in Philippi in this church, and they're all different grades of understanding. And this statement that was written by Paul is covering everybody's needs.
See, it uses with thanksgiving, which that includes us believers, because all we're doing is acknowledging and thanking him for stuff he's already done.
Right.
So you've been in these churches way too long, brother, and that's what they teach you. But no, this is covering everybody. Ex post facto, that's Latin for after the fact, and that's what he's talking about. With Thanksgiving, because you already know it's done. It's like when you go to your mom and you want a drink of water, you think that she's not gonna give it to you when you were 4 years old. It's the same principle, that's what they're using. But you said, Mom, can I, because she can't read your mind. She could, but she didn't know how, because we ain't getting into that. So, when you ask her, it's like you saying, God, thank you so much that we're celebrating, that all my needs have been met.
I think this just came, and I believe it's from the Holy Spirit. The reason that God does that is because by your asking Him, you're actually acknowledging that He's the source.
Absolutely, and then you're planting a seed, seed time and harvest.
Right.
Yes, and it also does one other thing. It brings your relationship with God through the physical closer. See, we're always looking for somebody to hook up with because we're creatures. We need to have people around us, like-minded individuals. We don't like to be lone wolves.
Right.
Except for me, I don't like it, but, and that's wrong too. I shouldn't be that way, but I am, because most people are too stupid for me to even be around. But I am.
Well, you know why?
Yes, I do.
Because you say it.
No, because they're stupid. You're right, I do. It is, that's correct. Because that's my thought process, and you're gonna, whatever you think's gonna be what you're gonna surround yourself with.
I instantly thought, going back to Brant Frost, I may have thought that about Brant, but I probably wouldn't say it to him. He would.
See, I don't have that education that you guys have, and there's nothing wrong with it. I never did like the church. I didn't like school because I didn't like what they were trying to put me into. Because all school does, even though you can absorb it, and more people absorb better than others, you did a very good job. You went all to the pinnacle. You went as high as you can go in education. But by doing that, you sacrifice what you really believe sometimes. Because most education wants God out of the picture.
Well, you have to pass.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it. And does that make me better than you? No, that's just who I am. That's why I don't have any credits other than,
Is that why the people say when you go to a university, especially, let's just say a northern university, and the teachers and the students are definitely more liberal.
yes,
And so you want to be somewhat like them, or.
of course,
And so therefore you kind of turn that
you will.
page.
That's an automatic thing that you do in the physical. It's called the chameleon effect, that's what I call it. Yes, you want to bleed into the surrounding. You want to be a part of a whole, which we all do. I mean, that's who we are. But then the physical, yeah. But spiritually, I am a part of a whole. God and me are one.
You're right.
See, and I excluded all that other crap. That's why it's easier for me to see these things than it is somebody that's been educated into the system because of those beliefs and things that you've used beneficial to get that degree, because that's why you were there to do. You did, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to looking at stuff from the energy level, it ain't gonna help you. But it's gonna help you write a letter. It's gonna help you obtain a job. And you've got a degree, jurisprudence, and that's what it was for. And the world really rewards you for that. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but when it comes from me saying, look, you're a faggot, not a faggot, you're a Sadducee. I've said that too, but, and out of love. Yeah, that's why I do it, because there's nothing in there to say, that's not correct, you shouldn't do that, that's not being polite. And it's not, it's true, but I don't have that barrier inside. For what it's worth, yes, okay. So in Philippians, Paul's writing a letter to the Philippian church in Philippi. That's what this is about. And he's writing to all the different people in their level of understanding God. You're going to have baby Christians, you're going to have Christians that are sinning because they want to, and you're going to have those old dyed-in-the-wool believers in there. You're going to have all forms.
All those people with the different needs really have all had them, they all had them met.
God has met all of them.
Okay.
The only problem with that is, if they don't believe it, they're not gonna experience it, yes. Because that's what it always comes down to, what do you believe? Philippians 4:7, this is the next one over. God, and this is apostrophe S, which means it belongs to him, and God's peace shall be yours. That means God's peace. That's perfect, unconditional, pure love. Belongs to God, or he wouldn't have put a apostrophe over the S. It's his peace. Shall be yours. That tranquil state of a soul, assured of its salvation through Messiah, and so fearing nothing from God, and bringing content with its earthly lot of whatever sort that is. Earthly lot of whatever sort that is. Content with its earthly lot of whatever sort that is. That means wherever you're at, there you are. And if you're there, where's your love, your light, and your life? You got to be content. We're all afraid. Our fear has been on performance based. Every one of you guys' fear is based on performance. Mine too. We all are. And not here saying, no, it ain't. So what this thing's saying?
Be content.
And the word salvation includes all,
Yeah, A-L-L or
you know, like
call.
healing, prosperity.
Yes. Lot of whatever sort that is. That peace which transcends all understanding shall garrison and mount guard over your hearts and minds in Messiah Jesus. And that's our power source. So our heart is a garrison is a bunch of guys with guns that are surrounding you. That's what a garrison is. It's a group, it's an army. And mount guard. That's what the garrison does. It's a garden over your hearts and minds in Messiah Jesus. It's all about him. That's where the power source comes. So, has he done everything that he can possibly do as a Savior and as a man that walked this earth to eliminate fear from our lives?
Yes.
He has. He's done all he can do. There's nothing else he can do. And yet, we still have fear. Hallelujah. Okay.
And hallelujah.
You didn't hear where I said it. It doesn't matter. You want a sidebar to your brother? Is that what you want? Let's go to Psalms 56:3 in the easy to read version. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. Now this is Psalms. Who wrote Psalms?
A lot of it, David,
Yes. And David was
a man after God's heart.
Okay, so this is what David said. This is before the born again experience. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. It's pretty good stuff from David, King David. So, if you ever get afraid, and you get afraid, we all get afraid, what do we should do? Let's go do what David did. Even though God's already done it, we can do this. We can, when I'm afraid, I put my trust in you.
It all gets back to our focus, right?
Yes.
Okay. You
Belief.
focus on, and of course, focusing is belief,
Yes, sir.
right? So the focus is in Jesus.
Yes,
Period.
yes.
There's nothing else.
Nothing else.
Nothing over here, nothing over here.
Nope.
So during the times of stress, you've got to say, wait a minute, I put that off, I'm putting on the Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Christ, the Son of God, Jesus, and I'm focusing on him as you see him in the spirit, really up in heaven, right?
Yeah.
And down here, because we're both together, right?
You become one.
Okay, so if you weasel around and you're focusing, it ain't good, is that?
No, you're not focused. How do you do a microscope when you're looking at something? It's out of focus? Well, that's the way it'll be. It'll be blurry. Because we all filter anything that comes.
You take your macro and turn it into micro into
Macro.
macro.
Yeah, that's small to the bigger so you can see
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Good.
But it's always going to be a decision made by us. We're always filtering information in to our intellect because of the truths that we believe, cellular memory, whatever you want to call it, it's going to do. That's just the natural side of it, and it's always going to be that way. That's why when I say blue, there's different shades of blue, and you may be a light blue, you may be a dark blue, you may be in the middle, and I'm almost thinking gray. But that's normal, but everybody understands the word blue, but it has a different connotation for every individual. That's what I'm saying. See, it's always going to be on your filtering system, your intellectual system, how you've been taught, what do you believe, and then what's the final effect. And everybody's that way until we get to heaven. But yeah, and that's what I'm here to do. I'll tell you the same thing 17 different ways. Why do I do that? So I can push that magic button on each individual.
Magic!
Yeah, magic. I did that just for you, Brett. But yeah, that's the way it works, and it'll always be that way. That's why everybody will see a picture of an elephant, and you'll have 5 different descriptions, because that's what we do. That's who we are, in the flesh, in the element. Okay. 1 Peter 5:7. Give all your worries to him, because he loves you.
That's great.
That's easy to read. Let's go to 2 Timothy 1:7 in the Amplified. For God did not give us a spirit of timidity. Can't say that right. Timid. It's the past tense.
Timidity.
Timidity. Thank you. Of cowardice, of craven, and cringing, and fawning in fear. There's nothing in fear. He's not giving us any of this. We're not a coward. We're not craving or we're not cringing. Oh, I don't want this to happen to me. We're not fawning for fear. Oh no, it's going to happen. That's what he's talking about. It's all these stuff that you've seen on movies and TV, and you've seen it on the people that advertise crap, and it's all built on fear. But he has given us a spirit of power and of love and of calm and of well-balanced mind and discipline and self-control. So why in the world would you waver? You got no self-control. That's why you waver and you're afraid. And discipline means one thing. Think the way Jesus thinks. That's discipline. It's not, marching to the right when they say right and march to the left, which they do when you're in the military, but they're teaching mind control is really what it's for. But so if you're well balanced, you have the spirit, and that spirit is really not a special spirit. It just means you have the energy, the ability to have power if you so choose, and that's what they're talking about. Power and love and of calm, well-balanced mind. Calm, well-balanced mind. You're not tipping from fear, you're not tipping into love, but you're balanced. Because you're going to have fears of this world are going to be there. You know why babies won't walk off when they just start learning to crawl? They won't crawl off this table and fall on the floor. They got that built-in fear. That's what Adam brought into the world when he chose Eve to bite the apple. Death, sin, sickness, disease, busting your ass to grow a plant. All of that is true, but it all comes from the foundation of fear. There was never any fear in the world until Adam brought it in. So we're born into that fear. We are, but that's where it comes from. And sometimes it can be used, babies know they ain't going to fall because they know they're going to hurt themselves, even though they can't communicate very well. But fear. It's all based on fear.
You gotta head out to the promised land? Oh, doctor.
Doctor
Feel good.
Dr. Feel Good. Tell Dr. Feelgood, I'd hug you, but I'm on the camera, so. See you next week, brother. Thank you. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong, courageous, and firm. Fear not, nor be in terror before them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. This is Deuteronomy.
That's good stuff.
This is Old Testament, which is really good because that's what the New is written on. So, you know, we can do that today. It's the same thing for us today. Why are we afraid of anything?
And that's the only scripture that David had.
Yeah.
Right there, the Old Testament stuff.
That's why he was an apple of God's heart, see? Because he believed in God. Even though he did all kinds of crazy crap, he did, you know, he was a murderer, he was an adulterer, he window-peaked, he did, you know, he lusted, and all of it. And God said, hey, what does he really believe? What's the true self? That's why he was an apple of his heart. See, God believed in David, and David believed in God. See, that was his rock. This was David's foundation. And this is why David said this. Even though his kids were crazy, tried to kill him, but it's because of the seeds that he planted. You got to remember, everything that your process, your thought process conceives is going to be generated into an energy. And you're going to create that into a living scenario that you're going to live in. And they've already measured it, they know it's true, it's a physical, it has form, it's energy. But that's the creativity that you have as an individual. And that's going to start in your DNA. So if you walk in fear, that's what you're going to generate. We all said we had it, so let's don't say, brother, I don't walk in. Any of you do. We all do sometimes. This is what I'm talking about. There's no reason to do that. We don't have to. Jesus just keeps telling us from the Old to the New Testament. And he keeps saying, if you're in fear, give it to me. Let's talk about it. Why are you that way? He's correcting the course. See, he's giving you a new thought process. And that's what it is in an individual. We're all going to be controlled by what we think. That's going to be our actions. It's just the way it is. It's who we are. That's why we have free will. We create the reality that we choose to live in. Well, she's always been that way. Well, then she's always going to be that way to you because that's what you believe. And sometimes, yeah, you're right. You ain't going to change because they don't want to. But that doesn't have anything to do with you. See that? It's what I want to believe. But don't get stupid. You know, you're not going to change the course of that other individual. You can show them the light. You can open the door for them. They got to walk through it. They got to make that decision. And some people will not make it. They're just not capable because they don't want to. They like being comfort in that can. You talked about it. That's where their comfort is. Hallelujah. So that's why it's not up to God to do anything in this world. It's up to us. He's already done all he's going to do.
Right.
He's given us the authority, his glory, which means everything. He's given us the tools. And we're going to generate that creativity through what we believe, our thought process. Let's see. Let's do 1 John 4:18. Where God's love is, there is no fear. Because God's perfect love takes away fear. It is his punishment that makes a person fear. Whose punishment that makes a person fear? Our punishment. That's where it comes from. So his love is not made perfect in the one who has fear. You can't give perfect love if you're in fear. 1 John 4:18. Condemnation, self-condemnation is generated from fear. And that fear is torquing down your DNA. See that? Hallelujah. Matthew 6:34. So do not worry or be anxious about tomorrow. For tomorrow will have worries and anxieties of its own. Sufficient for each day is its own trouble. That's reading energy. You can't read tomorrow's energy that's being produced by the person today because they're not in tomorrow. You see that? That's why it's better to give than receive, because you can only receive once, but if you give every day, you're building up a pipeline of giving. Did you know you can be so full of love and that love has no value until you give it?
Hmm.
That's why it's better to give. That's that seed time and planting and it's giving and it's giving. But that's what we're here to do. God gave his best. He gave himself in the form of Jesus. What do? Do we open the door? Do we slow down? Do you let somebody pull in front of you? Or you laugh at the stupid fools that are passing you and they're trying to get ahead by one car because they do all this stupid stuff? Then they get caught at the light. That's world. But see, that's the world system at its best. That's why Trump's going to win the election. People are tired of this. They're just tired of it. And the world can't turn. It takes 1% of any population to turn the population back into Jesus. If that 1% believes in Jesus. That's all it takes. See, darkness cannot live in light. We don't turn the light switch on to make it dark. And that's what we're talking about. It's all the same. It's all these different principles that are very exciting. Romans 8:31. What then shall we say to all this? If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can be our foe or our enemy? If God is on our side. And that comes from Psalms 118:6. Who can be against us if God's on our side?
Nobody that can win.
True. But guess what? Who's the biggest enemy that we have?
Self.
And do we all have fear? And we're not supposed to have. The absence of fear is God. So that's what I'm talking about. You're your own worst enemy.
So fear is always you seeing yourself less than what God sees you.
That's fear. That's also Luciferian doctrine. You've heard me say that 1,000 times. Without God, there's no light. So what is there? Darkness. Who represents darkness? The absence of God. Satan ain't got no power. We use our own power that God has given us to destroy ourselves. See, she made me do it. No, she didn't, dummy. You did it. That's why God forgave Adam, because Adam blamed Eve. When God said, what happened? The woman did it. Well, God knew better than that. But that's when Adam decided to do what Eve said, even though it was contradictory to what God said, there it was. Boom. That's the fear. That was the crack in the glass bubble right there. And guess who Adam did? He did it perfect in fear. Don't punish me, God. It's Eve's fault. But everybody does that. How many people blame somebody else for the situation they're in today? I was driving here to study and I watched, and nobody drove the speed limit coming in.
Nobody.
Nobody. Everybody was driving faster than the speed limit. Most of the red lights and stop signs were not observed. They ran them. And they had a policeman parked where this 35-mile-an-hour zone is, and the average speed there is about 60.
God.
And a few people slowed down to 40, and you know what that cop did?
Nothing.
Nothing. So, was it the people's fault? Yes. Was it the policeman's fault? Yes. But this is the mindset in large cities, not just Atlanta, it's everywhere. People talk faster, walk faster, drive faster, eat faster, and they think faster, they
I
don't.
think the cops are trained to leave most of it alone unless it's really a big problem.
I think so, because there's so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can slow stuff down. People do not want to slow down. That's why they'll pass you and slam on the brakes in front of you. They won't come and go behind you, because they have to slow down. It's just the way it is, and it's wrong, but that's the world's way. And I think some people are getting tired of it. Luke 12:5. But I'll warn you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after killing, has power to hurl into hell. Gehenna, it's another word for hell. Yes, I say to you, fear him. Who can do that?
Father can.
He can, but he won't.
Jesus.
Right now, Jesus won't do it either, so who is he talking about? Because we're living under a covenant relationship. Who? But who?
Ourselves,
That's it.
us,
Us.
me, my eye.
Yeah, you did it.
I did it.
You tried the shortcut out. Thank goodness you missed the mark, harmatia. Missed the mark of the goal. But yeah, it's us. And only the person that knows what they did after they die is them, because we don't know. But I would suggest that some people know. And they went to hell, even not knowing what they were doing, but that's the great lie, the self-condemnation, that low self-esteem that people go through. We know some people like that right now. They're going through it, and it's hell on earth. When you've got no self-worth, and you can only see you and not Jesus in you, even though you say you can intellectually, yeah, you can't. That's just crap. You're just saying that. It's got to be what's in your heart. And until that happens, it's your choice. That's what we're here for, so help people make the right decision, show them the light. Can't make the decision for them, but we can show them the right, we can show them the way in. We can open the door for them and say, please, go in. I've got over 100 videos out right now on Facebook and YouTube and Vimeo. And I was just glancing through them, and there's 100 views on some of them. 100 people have looked at them. Yeah, that's a bunch.
I told you.
I know you told me. Wish my nose would quit itching. Anyway.
Wish you would too. It's spread.
It's contagious. But I want to thank you all, because without that bucket, there wouldn't be any videos. So your alms are going around the world, and a lot of people are getting fed. Now, because of the decision that they're making from that video, guess who gets the little gold star next to their name? Everybody. 'Cause
They do.
They do, and we do. Because we planted that seed, see? It's a joint effort, it's just not one
And you
individual.
won't find out about that till later, of course.
I already know it's done, but yeah. But that's the key of knowing it's already done. All we do is plant the seed. We don't worry about how it happens. That's God's problem. That is mine. But we're here to plant seed, and that's what we're doing. So I just wanted to let you all know that it's working. Hallelujah. Here's Judges. This is a good one. 6:23. The Lord said to him, "Peace be to you. Do not fear. You shall not die." Are we afraid of death? The only death that I know of that anybody could look at and not want would be spiritual death. Am I afraid to die physically? I don't want to die right now, but am I afraid of it? No. I'm not afraid of it. Hallelujah. Here's Judges 7:10. But if you fear to go down, go with Pharaoh, your servant, down to the camp. I don't know what you think about that. I don't even know why I read that. That's crap. 2 King. Nah, I don't want to read that. See what Job has to say. Nah, I don't want to do that. Let's go over here. Romans 8:31. Oh, rats, I messed it up. Romans 8:31. Romans is always good about this. So what should we say about this? If God is for us, who can stand against us? And God is with us. So what's he saying? If God is for us, no one can stand against us except ourselves. See, you can be born again and love
We
with
can get
God
in our way so much, so many ways.
and still dog cuss the people around you. And you can go to heaven, but that's not what we're here to do, see? You know what history means? History? His story. Yeah. So, we're writing his story right now with our life, our history, our life, our history. Hallelujah.
Gracious.
Eat another peanut.
Right now?
Here we go. Luke 12:5. I will show you the ones who fear. You should not fear God, who has the power He is the one you should fear. Who's that? Who's the one we should fear?
God.
Who's the one? That's in the Bible. Who's the ones we should fear? Who's the one we should fear? Do you get an answer?
You just did this.
I know. I'm doing it in a different
The answer
way.
is you.
That's right. But if you believe in Jesus and Jesus is in you and there's no fear, then this is you shouldn't fear anybody. See, the answer to that is I don't fear anybody. That's where we should be. There is no fear. And the Bible says to fear God, but that is the interpretation of the word fear in the Bible is wrong. It's not the fear that we grew up with knowing the definition of fear. The fear that they're talking about that was translated wrong was honor.
Right.
That's what I thought you were saying.
I'll say it wrong, I won't say fear.
That's why
No,
I said I did.
That's fine. So this is what I want you guys to come away with today. Love is the source of everything. It makes your DNA bigger, longer, stronger, makes you stronger. It improves and enhances your immune system, which really is what heals the body. Medicine doesn't heal anything. It keeps the symptoms down until the immune system can come back up. If it's the right kind of medicine, some medicine won't do that. It destroys the immune system, i.e. chemotherapy and radiation.
That hurts the immune system.
It kills it.
So the most important system in your body really is the immune system.
This is your immune system, yes, sir. 3% of the people survive 5 years longer that had chemotherapy and radiation therapy. 3%. Now, the people that didn't do a thing, just went off and enjoyed their lives, 28% of them lived an extra 5 years. So what does that tell you? The immune system, the power of belief. See, and it's love. That's what you gotta remember. So,
And the Bible says too, that a merry heart is good medicine.
that's what
So it is more valuable. Okay, so the doctor says you need to go into chemotherapy, and you would say, I don't think so. I think I'll just go watch some cartoons and laugh a lot.
Yes.
He would think you were nuts.
Yeah.
You'd probably be right, wouldn't you?
Yes. Because what's it doing to your DNA?
Really?
Because you love to have fun. So what's it doing to your DNA?
I do.
It's expanding. See, it's growing. It's It's making it bigger. Now, if you're in fear and do this because this is a deterrent against this terrible cancer,
Yeah.
cancer is no powerful than a cold when it comes to God. We've made it that way.
Well, there's nobody that takes chemotherapy that is not afraid of not taking it.
Yeah,
So the fear is,
We build in so much fear.
you know, is what's bumped them into that, the fear.
Right.
yeah.
We did it.
And your hair falls out and you lose weight and you can't eat because it makes you sick because your body says, no, I don't want this. It's not good for me. The symptoms are right there. The body's telling you. And guess what? You go back next week for another jolt. Because that doctor said, the pharmaceutical company that makes it says, this is the only thing we have to fight cancer. There's no fight in cancer.
So there's so many doctors that would point you in that direction, and they're doing that because they've been facilitated to believe that stuff.
Taught
Right.
through the higher educational system that has no God. Man can do everything.
Yeah, they
See,
are.
you gotta remember,
You won't get your degree if you don't learn this.
that's it. The pharmaceutical people create most diseases, but they also have the answer for them. But it takes more than one pill to cure you. Built in.
So every pill, I gotta reach for the wallet.
Yep, yep. And you gotta go to the doctor to get the prescription so you can buy the pill.
That's why I'm striving so greatly for, just for one pill, that be God. You know?
Oh, yeah.
God, do it all for me. I need to just get out of his way and let him go, you know?
But I'm not saying don't go to the doctor and
Right.
don't throw your pills away until your heart tells you to. And if it doesn't, stay on them. But if it
Yeah,
does,
because it won't, you can't initiate what God has for you unless you believe.
that's it. It's all about you. That's why the placebo effect works every
That's-
time.
See that circle? We always circle.
Oh,
Always.
yeah. Certainly, that's right, that's good.
And the energy is where? In the center of the
That's
circle.
right, in the center.
It's always there, and that's where you're supposed to be. Hallelujah. Well, I think we pretty much ran this into the dirt. I think we understand where our world we're standing, and it's brought on by fear, and we've all said in front of the camera that we are afraid of something. So, I'll leave you with this. Love conquers all.
Oh,
There is no defense against love. And if we will dedicate our lives to send out life, light, and love every day to the world, then we're in the discipleship of Jesus, the Most High God.
praise God.
Peace.